What gets me going now is helping other people make their first dollar online.
Can you give us like a quick formula for getting to that like 7-figure milestone?
You have to find a product that solves a problem for your target customer.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you have to brand that product in such a way that is...
What is your take on dropshipping?
Dropshipping is
I found out you got to meet the Queen, the late Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah, I won this award. It was a very surreal experience because I remember being there in Buckingham Palace. I grew up in poverty, like I needed money.
Yeah.
I've been there. I know what it's like. You work with what you have. Like,
Okay.
just trust the process. Trust that God will take care of the rest. Learn what needs to be done. Like, educate yourself.
Okay.
Because if you know what needs to be done and the only obstacle is capital, then why don't you assume that the capital is there? And what I find is that opportunity comes to those that are ready.
Go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Talknovate podcast. I told you that in this season I'm going to bring impactful guests, and I'm very excited about our next guest. His name is Jamal Muse. He's an e-commerce expert. He has made over $20 million from Amazon sales, and he helps entrepreneurs like you and I to start businesses on Amazon, to scale them up, and also to know when to sell. Thank you for being on podcast, Jamal.
Thank you for that warm introduction.
How long have you been selling on Amazon?
Just to clarify that, I started off with Amazon, but
Okay.
now I sell on my own website using Shopify and Amazon.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, but I always recommend Amazon to start off with because it's an easier path to launching your brand. You're using Amazon's trust and platform. You don't have to worry about as many things as launching on your own store. But to
Okay.
answer your question, I've been selling online since 2016.
Oh, that's a long time. That's almost a decade.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way.
Okay, so I found out that you were raised in the UK and you also have Somali roots as well.
That's correct.
How did that shape you into entrepreneurship?
Oh, a good question. Being a Somali immigrant in the UK, I think it's the immigrant mentality, right? Where you know that although the UK is a great place to kind of create your own path, it's largely a fair democratic system. So it's like every man for himself. As long as you can take risks and do certain things, you can be successful. However, I think rather than being disadvantaged with because of my background, it gave me that hunger, I believe, because we didn't have much growing up. Me and my family. There are 7 of us in my family.
Wow. Wait, 7 kids?
7 kids. I'm number 5. So there are 3 brothers and 3 sisters.
Okay.
And we lived in a small house. I shared a bedroom with my 3 brothers. This was in our earlier years. And so we were just, we always didn't have much. And I say that not to complain, but these were just the facts.
The reality of the time.
Yeah, but I didn't feel like we were lacking. And I think that's a really good point to make because I think these days people are very quick to look at what they lack as opposed to what they do have. I think we were very, very grateful for
what was available.
Exactly.
I also think it comes to being a child. Sometimes I just miss my childhood. You don't worry about certain things.
Exactly. But yeah, just my family. It was a very, very fast family dynamic. Always things happening, and my dad actually was an entrepreneur himself.
Okay.
He was an entrepreneur in Somalia. But when the civil war started, he had to leave everything behind. So
he started all over again in the UK.
Well, but when he came to the UK, he didn't have the time to actually build a business and to do something because building a business takes time.
It takes time.
But when we came to the
resources.
UK, you need immediate cash flow, right?
Very true.
So what he ended up doing was he became a taxi driver, and then he ended up being a taxi driver for 35 years in London.
Okay.
So he kind of sacrificed his dream, his mission in Somalia, and then he came to the UK. So I never really knew what he did. I
Yeah.
knew it involved exporting, importing, and things of that nature. But all I remember was him sleeping during the day and then working at night as a black cab, not black cab, sorry,
Yeah.
as a minicab taxi
Yeah.
driver. So he'd leave every evening at around 8 p.m., come back at 4, 5, 6 a.m. in the morning. And that was our life for like 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of sacrifice.
He did. Yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like that may have impacted your work ethic. Like seeing him work so hard over the years.
Yeah, it impacted my work ethic, seeing that seeing what's required of a man to serve his family, but it also taught me what not to do.
Okay. So can you share a bit about that?
Okay, because I think men in general, we have this kind of idea or notion that we have to provide, and we do.
Yeah.
But we think that's our sole job. We think
you
as long
also
as
still have to take care of yourself.
as I'm putting food on the table, khalas, I've done my bit. for the
That
family.
is very African and I think Middle Eastern as well.
Yeah, exactly. And all credit to my dad. He was an amazing dad, and he was present and he pushed us academically. But it wasn't, But I also saw that mindset where as long as I do my bit, food on the table, bills are paid,
Yeah,
I'm done. I'm good.
Same here. I had this on my dad. He was always traveling as well. But there's food, your bills are being paid.
Shut
your
up.
fees are being paid. Exactly. Kalas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that with me. Why did you go into teaching?
Teaching.
Yeah, because you started out your career as a maths teacher.
I started off my career as a banker, actually.
Oh, like me.
Oh, really?
Interesting. Yeah, back in my country.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did mathematics at UCL.
Okay.
In fact, I studied mathematics with economics, and everyone in my cohort, the general kind of narrative is, you go to a top uni, you study maths or economics, you go into investment banking.
Yeah.
That was the general goal.
Okay.
And I was successful in securing internships at Deutsche Bank,
Oh, nice.
Lehman Brothers, BlackRock.
I interviewed at BlackRock, but I didn't get it. That was disappointing.
Yeah, that was a brutal interview process. Like
Yeah.
it was only for a summer internship, but we had an online application, we had some psychometric tests, and then we had like 5 interviews, and plus this. It was missions. It was absolute missions, and then but somehow I made it through. But similar to what I said about my dad, seeing what not to do, going through investment bank, going through all of that, I
Yeah.
realized I don't want to do this for the rest of my life.
Okay.
And that's when I pivoted to teaching.
Okay.
And I took a massive pay cut.
Yes, because investment banks pay so well.
Yeah.
But why teaching? Why did you think of? Is it because you needed to have more family time
I didn't have a family.
at that time? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so in 2009, I went for Umrah. Do you know Umrah?
Yeah, I know. I have Muslim friends.
Yeah, I went for Umrah in Saudi Arabia, and then that's when I kind of realized that there's more to life outside of the UK.
Okay.
And then I tried finding ways, how can I get out there to the Middle East? What can I do? And then at the time, there was this thing called the CELTA. It's
Okay.
like a 4-week qualification where you complete that. It qualifies you to teach English abroad.
Oh, nice.
So I did that. It cost about £1,000. And then I started applying for jobs all around the Middle East, and I got a job in Riyadh
Perfect.
teaching English.
Okay.
So it wasn't about going into teaching as a passion. It was more about how can I get out there.
Oh, I get it.
And then when I went out there, I realized, hold on, this is actually quite fun. Like, and I was quite good at it. And then I did that for about 2 years. And then I came back to the UK when my first son was born. And then I thought, hold on, Jamal, you're teaching English. You've got a maths degree.
Yeah.
You know, and I also have a master's in English as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in applied linguistics. So it's kind of weird. I've got a maths and English.
And English.
Yeah. But long story short, I thought, you know what, like, see how teaching maths is like. And then so I got my teacher qualification in maths.
Okay.
And then that's when I realized, hold on, like, Jamal, like, this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. How many years did you do that for?
I did it for 3 years.
Okay.
I taught in a private school in London. And then I did it for 4 years teaching maths. 1 year in a private school in London, and then I got a job in Doha in a British school, and where I taught for 3 years.
Okay, that's perfect. But knowing that you had Somali roots, how did your family take that? Because I remember when I quit banking. Okay, so I quit banking to do my master's in the UK. But coming back, I didn't want to go back to the banking industry. And Africans, they like it when you're like a doctor, a banker. Like, they like these titles. So leaving that for teaching, did they think you were they upset with you for doing that?
Yeah, I think I don't remember them being upset, but I do remember my brother, my elder brother, had a really sick job at HP as a business analyst.
Oh, nice.
And then he left that to go into directing, like film directing.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he went from getting a stable, good salary to being broke overnight.
Yeah.
And he was contributing to the mortgage. So he was actually, because that's our family mindset.
Yeah.
Everyone chips in.
Yeah, everyone.
To this day, I chip in, and I love it. Like I see it as me paying back.
Yeah.
Even though I can never pay them back. It's not about financially paying them back, but more about they raised me, and now I look after them.
Our communities, we have very strong family values.
Yeah. So I think because of what my brother had done, where he went, like, me going from banking to teaching, it wasn't a big deal.
Because it's like, okay, he has done it, so
yeah, as long as Jamal's able to continue,
survive.
Survive, and also continue what he's doing for us.
Yeah. Everyone's cool with that. Okay, but I really applaud your bravery, because leaving investment banking to go into teaching, you need lots of confidence for that.
Yeah, it sounds like a very big jump. What was a bigger jump is leaving teaching and going into entrepreneurship. That was a lot more risky.
Yeah.
Because I was going into the unknown. I wasn't going into a stable job. I had a family to look after. So I had a lot to lose.
Wow.
And I remember when I had to resign. And I was umming and ahhing for weeks, because at a time, so I started my business in 2016, and then by 2018 the business was kind of big enough to match my salary, and that's when I decided, Jamal, you were able to match your salary by working on this whole e-commerce thing for a few hours a week. What if you went all in? Yeah. What if you kind of just dedicate 8-10 hours a day? So I said, Jamal, you have to kind of go full time. But then I had a really cushy job at school. I was working from like 7 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Oh, so that was a very flexible job.
The hours were good. And in the Middle East, they give you a really cushy package. They pay for your school tuition fees for your kids. They gave me a nice villa. They gave me flights back home every summer. It was very cushy.
That's very difficult to walk away from.
It was a very comfortable prison. That's the way I like to think about it.
Wow. Very comfortable prison. I can relate with that. I can relate with that.
And I think many people who might be listening to this who have a very good high paying job, that's what they might be experiencing. Another way of thinking about it is a golden cage.
Yeah.
Where it's all very good from the outside, but in reality, they've got you by the balls.
Exactly. And the thing is, I feel like when you're an entrepreneur, you just know it in your heart that you're meant to do more. So you can't, like, even if you're getting all the perks, like financial perks, you still don't feel very fulfilled.
Yeah, and I don't even think I'm an entrepreneur by heart.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about this offline.
Yeah.
I've never been an entrepreneur. I think it's an identity that I had to develop, and I still am continuing to nurture and develop.
Okay, so what introduced you? Why Amazon? What made you think about that?
I wanted an online business.
Okay.
There are so many businesses that you can start. I wanted one that's online, something that I can do from anywhere in the world. That to me was a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And something that I can do in my own time, something that was flexible, something that didn't need me to work from 9 to 5 or 3 to 6, whatever. So that's what I wanted. That's what I needed in order to fit my lifestyle.
Okay.
And I had no desire to leave my job, by the way.
Okay.
For me, my sole intention
Yeah.
was my job is comfortable
And flexible.
and flexible. As long as I can bring in a few extra dollars, $500 to $1,000 a month on top of my existing salary, I'm calm.
Yeah.
I'm happy. That's all I wanted.
Yeah.
And then when I got started, and I realized, hold on, like there's more potential out there. And
Yeah.
then I was able to kind of make what I wanted to make, and then some. The goalpost starts to shift, and then shift, and then
and then you
shift.
start to grow.
And to this day, it's always shifting. Like by the end of this year, I want with one of our brands, we want to cross $10 million.
Okay.
Like if someone had told me this a few years ago, I would have said,
You
piss
wouldn't
off.
have guessed it.
Like
Oh, congrats for
yeah,
that.
I don't want that. Like no, I wouldn't see that as a possibility.
Yeah.
Like I'd be happy with $1 million. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah.
Okay, so I've seen lots of stories online of people there's a guy who was homeless in the US and then he started selling on Amazon, and next thing, over like 2 years, he's already a millionaire. So I've seen lots of stories like that. But then as an adult, I know that behind every success, there are challenges. So is it as easy as YouTubers make it seem, or what are like the hurdles that you faced in your journey starting with Amazon?
Yeah, it certainly is not as easy as social media it makes it seem out to be. I wish it was the case. I think social media, by design, it gives you the highlight reels. It gives you it gives you the moment when you're standing on the podium with a trophy, right?
With a trophy.
But then you look at any athlete or any boxer who wins his fight, like that moment on the podium is only for a split second.
True. He trains for hours, for months.
Weeks, months,
years.
years, exactly. That is the part that people don't see, and they don't want to see. It's ugly, it's boring. Like
People want to see, people want some form of fantasy, I guess.
Yeah, and that's what I really struggle with in my marketing, because whenever people see my ads and anything, I've had to I don't want to sell them a dream, because I know it's not a dream. But at the same time, if I start talking about all the hard bits in the beginning of my ad, no one's going to watch the ad.
No one's going to watch it, yeah.
So, but at the top of the funnel, all of my content is kind of, very short. It's very fun, it's very energetic. But then as you go deeper and deeper into my content, and you actually watch the videos and the interviews and the long form content, I go into crystal clear detail. This isn't for you if X, Y, and Z. This is hard. This is going to happen. This is how I lost money. And you kind of begin to get all the shades of the thing.
Okay.
But if I talk about that in the beginning of my content,
people would get nervous, and
People-
they
yeah.
wouldn't even want to touch it.
yeah, and if someone still wants to work with me in my coaching program after I tell them the black and white details,
Yeah.
those are the kind of people I want to work with.
Okay, that's perfect. So I have a question for you. What is the minimum amount someone needs to start a business on Amazon?
Yeah, I recommend somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000.
Okay.
This is for your product, for your shipping, for the branding, the trademark, and all the other smaller miscellaneous expenses.
Okay. So what if someone is just starting out at work, not earning, maybe earning just $3,000 per month, and they don't have those resources? Are there other like more affordable avenues?
Yeah, because even before you spend your first dollar
Yeah.
in ordering your product, there's a lot of work that you have to do. And what people generally try and, okay, think of it like this.
Yeah.
You want to cook something, right? You want to cook a dish.
Yeah.
Now, before you actually get to the cooking of the dish in the kitchen, you have to know the recipe.
True.
And you have to buy the ingredients, and
Very
you have
true.
to prepare the kitchen, make sure you have all the tools and the cutlery, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, what people kind of say is, hold on, you know what? I don't have, just because they can't do the final thing, they throw the baby out with the bathwater, as we say in the UK.
Yeah.
We just throw everything out. But hold on, you work with what you have. Like,
Okay.
just trust the process. Trust that God will take care of the rest. Learn what needs to be done. Like, educate yourself.
Okay.
Because if you know what needs to be done and the only obstacle is capital, then why don't you assume that the capital is there?
Okay.
And-
And start working on the other bits.
Start working on everything. And what I find is that opportunity comes to those that are ready. Like I had a student of
That's a
mine.
good one.
I
Yeah.
had a student of mine who didn't have the full capital, but
Okay.
and she only had the capital to join our program. And when she joined our program, I asked her, okay, well, if this is all you have and you're paying me for the coaching, like, what's going to happen? I don't want to take your money if you can't actually.
Do this after.
Yeah,
the
because
class.
I want you to make money.
Yeah.
And it's just, she goes, Jamal, I've got it. Like, I'll figure something out. So she literally went through the whole process. She found a great product, and then before she knew, like, she found a partner, her husband's friend or something, who was very liquid.
Yeah.
But didn't have any time. Anyway, through some dinner conversation,
Yeah.
he said, let's go 50-50. You do all the work, I'll put up all the capital. And
That's amazing.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have done that for her if she was starting from zero. She had done the first 5-10 steps. And then the conversation emerged naturally over dinner.
Yeah.
And then boom. And then the whole thing was done very seamlessly.
Wow.
Because she was ready for the opportunity. Are you with me?
That's a very good one. So I'm very happy that you said that, because I think this stops many people from going into any form of entrepreneurship. They just feel like, okay, this is too expensive. No, I can't do this. But the fact that she started out that way and the opportunity met her, that's amazing. What is your take on drop shipping? Because one thing I found out about drop shipping from my research, I've never actually done it. You don't necessarily have to have the products. You're kind of like the middleman. And so if someone orders from you, you just get it from like the suppliers. What's your take on that?
Yeah. Drop shipping is for those people who don't have any capital. Excuse me. It's an easier way to start. However, what people don't realize is you still need some capital. Like,
True.
you can't start any business without any capital.
Anything, yeah. You need something basic.
Because with drop shipping, although you don't have to pre-order the product and store it locally and brand it and all that kind of stuff, which needs about $5,000 or $10,000, you still need to market that product. So you need money for ads.
Yes.
You need money for the website and the other bits and pieces. So you do need some capital.
Yeah.
Even if you're drop shipping, how will you market the products that you want to drop ship?
That's so true. Because you can't just leave it out there without any form of marketing.
Exactly. So you need like maybe $1,000 or $2,000, which is obviously a lot less. But in any case, to answer your question more directly, you do need, dropshipping is an easier way to get started for those people who are who are lacking capital,
Okay.
but the success rate with drop shipping is incredibly less than the success rate of a proper brand that's being done, the right way. Because
Okay.
with drop shipping, you can be selling, for example, this microphone that belongs to someone else,
Yeah.
and there could be 100 other sellers selling that same microphone.
Oh.
And you're all sourcing from the same supplier. The marketing part is really hard to crack, really hard. Like I can't overstate just how hard it is to show an ad in front of someone who is not in the market for that product.
Yeah.
Because that's how things happen with social media, right?
True.
I mean, with dropshipping and even with our own website, we need to show our product in front of someone who's just watching random reels on their feed.
Yeah.
And our job is to distract them, hook them in, and then make them feel like they need this product, even though they had no interest or desire
in it in the first place.
Exactly. But with Amazon, it's the opposite. They are on Amazon.
Okay.
Why? Not to watch videos or
They actually want to buy something.
so the intent is there.
Yeah.
They're there to shop. They are logged onto their account. Their credit card details are there. There's less friction. So on Amazon, that's why I recommend Amazon for those people starting out, because you're selling to people who are looking specifically
for what you have to offer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But with drop shipping and general Shopify stores, the marketing needs to be on point. And it's really hard.
So what if I have $10,000? How much of that $10,000 would you advise I use in marketing?
Yeah, I think to get started about 20%.
20%?
Yeah, 20% of that would get you started. And then with the money that you make, you can reinvest into marketing and keep on growing it.
Okay.
I started by spending $50 a day.
Wow.
And now we spend on some days around, $9,000.
Okay. I was going to ask you how much. I was going to ask you that question, like how much you spend on marketing, because I see your videos everywhere.
No, but that's on the coach, because
I see mostly the coaching program.
Okay, because I don't sell my products in the UAE. I sell it in the US and the UK.
Okay.
So on the coaching side, we don't spend much. To run ads in the UAE is very cheap. So we spend maybe about $300 a day.
Oh, okay.
In the UAE.
Yeah.
Which isn't much, by the way.
Yeah.
And that allows me to have so much reach.
Seriously, because I see your videos everywhere today. You're in the gym, you're on the and I actually like the format you use, because it feels very natural. Like it doesn't feel like you're selling. So it's actually engaging. I like your format for your ads.
Even all of my ads in the market, and this is a great marketing tip, which I learned after spending millions of dollars on ads.
Yeah.
Is that the ugly ads win all the time.
Wow.
The ugly ads.
Yeah.
When you have an ad that's in a slick setup, cinematic video, B-roll footage, with some sick, 8K camera.
Yeah.
People know it's an ad.
Yeah.
For an ad to work,
it has to be very relatable, very natural.
For an ad to work, it shouldn't look like an ad.
Wow, guys, this is like the best. I'm very happy you said that. I've learned something new. For an ad to work, it shouldn't look like an ad, because when I want to do ads, I try to be very cinematic. Like I like things looking perfect. Yeah. Yeah,
the ads that I shoot in the car, like on the coaching side, the best performing ad. I've got one ad where I'm on the plane, but then there's one that I shot in Cairo, where I was with my family by the Giza pyramids, and I saw a camel sleeping.
Yes, I saw that ad. That was amazing.
I saw a camel sleeping, and the idea just popped to mind. I pulled out my iPhone, and then I said, don't be like this camel, sleeping. It's
I saw that one, and then the one at the gym when you were lifting weights. I was like,
but
wow.
do you know why these ads work? Because they feel like, because they can relate to that. It's not in a studio. Like you can hear the sound of the acoustic music in the background and the slamming of the dumbbells. Like it's real. Like that's what people want. Like ads work.
Yeah.
Otherwise, brands wouldn't be spending billions of dollars on ads a year.
Very
they
true.
work, but for ads to work, you need to kind of bring them into your world that they understand. It can't be a world that's alien to them.
Yeah.
It needs to be, oh, you know, the guys in the gym. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I see that. And then and then if you can, and then obviously that's like the initial hook. But then what you say then becomes important.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying all the right things in the wrong setting, they won't hear what you're saying.
Very true.
They'll say whatever, skip.
Yeah.
But if you can get the right environment and then you kind of suck them in, and then the words need to hit hard. And if your words, if there's fluff, if each word doesn't really carry weight, then again you've lost them.
Okay. So thank you for sharing that. I found that you sell products in the US, and in one of your videos you said you had never been there.
I've never been to the US. I'd consider myself well traveled. I've been to many places. I was in China and Turkey this year. I was in Cairo, Morocco. Like I travel a lot, but I've never been to North America.
Wow. And you market your products there. How do you do it? What's the formula for that?
Well, that's the thing. With the power of the internet,
you
don't need to be anywhere. You can sell in North Korea if they've got the audience. But all you have to do is, as an e-commerce entrepreneur, you are the puppet master.
Okay.
You are the puppeteer. And all you have to do is pull on the right strings at the right time. So you find the right supplier, usually in China, but sometimes we source from Turkey, India, Pakistan, Taiwan, Vietnam, but usually from China. You find the right supplier, and then you get your freight forwarder to ship your goods directly from your supplier to wherever it is you're selling.
Okay.
So then your goods arrive in, say, America, and we have a partner in America who stores our goods for us. We have Amazon, obviously, and we use FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon. We leverage their resources. But we also have some other 3PLs, which are warehouses that store our goods.
Okay.
And I can see all of this on my dashboard. So I can see all the stock, the units. So they hold and store all our goods for us. And then we have our website where we drive traffic to, and we drive traffic from, social media, Google, Instagram.
Yeah.
And when someone buys from our store, whether it's Amazon or our Shopify store, then the warehouse sees this automatically. They pick it, they pack it, they ship it directly to the customer.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not involved in that process. My job was to connect the supplier to the warehouse, make sure the goods arrive, and there's someone that takes care of that for us. My job is to build a high converting website where after they see the ad, they actually
click through.
Yeah, they click through and they trust the website and they want to buy, and my ultimate job is to create that desire to make them want to buy the product.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm doing all of this from my home in Dubai, and I've got a team in the Philippines and a few other people in Eastern Europe, and also one person in the UK. But so my job is to kind of connect all these dots, and boom, done.
And then the business moves. That's really fantastic. Recently in the news, there have been American sellers have been complaining about like the Chinese tariffs. So has that like affected your business? Because most people, even if you listed other countries, most people tend to patronize Chinese suppliers.
Yeah, in America, there's this kind of stigma about made in China, but then you look around their homes, everything's made in China.
Yeah, even like the biggest fashion designers, like most of their products
Yeah,
are
yeah,
made in China.
they're all made in China. So when the whole tariffs thing happened, I could see it for exactly what it was, because the markets crashed, like everyone just capitulated, and there was a big market sell-off. People were getting worried about their brands, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
But I could see it for exactly what it was, which was just noise.
Okay.
It was all noise, because people are very reactionary by nature, and there was
True.
this massive adverse reaction, and I knew all of this was going to just die off, and it did.
Okay.
It literally did, because Trump raised the tariffs on China. They retaliated, and then Trump raised it again. It was back and forth. It was one big charade, like one big show.
Yeah.
Honestly, and I could see what was going on, because what was going on was Trump was trying to get China to the negotiating table, because up until that time, China and the US, they just wouldn't talk about tariffs in any meaningful way.
Yeah.
There were no trade talks as such. Through all of this, they actually started talking, and then there was that big deal that was struck in Switzerland or somewhere, where they agreed, and then guess what? Everything went back to normal.
Yeah. But did you lose any money during that?
I did. No, I didn't lose money, but
Yeah.
my freight forwarder tripled their shipping charges.
Wow.
For during that period of about 2-3 weeks, and we had to make some immediate shipments.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd run the risk of running out of stock.
Okay.
So for like 1 or 2 of our shipments, we had to just, deal with it. But yeah, not a
Okay.
big deal.
All right. I saw one of you were giving a masterclass in Dubai, one of the recent events, and there's something you said that was interesting. You said you encourage people to build to sell, not necessarily build to own, which is, I feel it's when someone goes into entrepreneurship, they see it as their business, as their baby. So telling someone to sell, like, I feel that's how do you get people to have that kind of mindset? Because if I start it's a lot of process, it's a lot of work trying to get your product and trying to brand it, making sure it's perfect, it fits a niche, and there are no issues, and you do that over time. So just let it go. I don't know. Can you talk a bit about that?
If you built, say, this podcasting business, which you're doing a great job of,
Thank you.
and then after 1 or 2 years, you have a very large viewership and everything like that, and then you had Spotify come along and say, we want to buy the rights of your podcast, here's $5 million. Would you say, no, it's my baby?
You had me at $5 million.
So that's what they did with Joe Rogan, by the way. Like they bought his rights for a crazy sum.
Wow.
For I think 50 million or
Wow.
or something. So basically, for the right number, so you can, because when you think about it, when you're running a business and say you're making 5, 10, 20K dollars in profit per month, that's good.
True.
That's good, right?
Yeah.
You might pay yourself, 5, 10K to live on, and the rest, whatever you invest or save. But you don't really have silly money. You can't go and buy 2 or 3 properties in cash.
True.
You can't go and pay for a Rolls Royce in cash or whatever it is that you want to do. It's money that you're making, and it feels good and all that. But 2 things, you can't make big movements with it, number 1. And number 2, it's a business. There's risk. There's no guarantee of this being there tomorrow.
Very
so
true.
when you sell your business, you get 3 years, usually 3 years worth of monthly earnings in one shot. So
okay.
if you're earning, for example, if you're earning $100,000 a month, I mean, $100,000 a month, say,
Yeah.
$100,000 a month in profit, 3 years is 36 months. You're getting $3.6 million in cash. Boom, ma salama.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you're
Yeah.
you're kind of fast earning 3 years worth of earnings, all in one shot, and then so you're able to remove all of that future risk. Your business could obviously go be a lot higher. And my
Yeah.
first brand, they did a really good job, and they continued to scale it, and
Okay.
and they made a lot more money than I was making after I sold. So
Yeah.
and I'm glad. But I was able to kind of take a lot of the risk off the table and get, and become a millionaire when even though I had a 7-figure business at the time, I wasn't a millionaire. I didn't have
Yeah.
I didn't have
You didn't have that liquidity.
I didn't even have 6 figures in my account because I was always just putting everything
Putting
back
it
in.
back into the business.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
and that's when I was able to kind of breathe a little. Because even though I was making money, and from the outside, you've got 7-figure business, blah blah, people think you're very comfortable, and I had good monthly cash flow.
Yeah.
It wasn't until in 2019 when I sold that business, and then I had 7 figures liquid. That's when I was able to say, okay, mom, I made it.
Yeah. Okay, can you give us like a quick formula for getting to that like 7-figure milestone that you reached? Like just a brief formula.
A brief formula.
Because I know many people are watching, they want to know like, how did he make, I'm doing all these things, but I'm not really getting there. So what do you think you did different?
I'm going to talk about e-commerce.
Okay.
You can make money in so many other ways. I've got a friend who made multi-million dollars in tech and this and that. So it all varies.
Yeah.
But e-commerce is what I know, and so you have to find a product that solves a problem for your target customer.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you have to brand that product in such a way that is uniquely positioned, and it has a high perceived value. So that allows you to sell it for a very high amount, although your cost price is very low.
Yeah.
And that allows you to spend aggressively on marketing. So that's really important.
Okay.
Yeah, and what I recommend is a minimum 1-to-5 ratio of cost to selling price. Minimum. So
Okay.
if you saw something for $5 landed, and by landed I mean the cost to buy the product
And to ship it.
and to ship it, then the minimum you should be selling it for is $25, 5 times that.
Okay.
That allows you to spend on marketing. But ideally, you want 10 times, 20 times, and that's possible, by the way.
Okay.
And then once you do that,
Yeah.
once you kind of have what's called product market fit, and you have customers buying your product, you market the heck out of it. When you make money, you don't take that money and go to Dubai Mall and go on a
Shopping spree.
shopping spree
Yeah.
in the luxury section. No, you don't do that. You take that profit, you reinvest it into other products that your customers might want. You reinvest into marketing, and you keep on doing this over and over and over,
again.
and it's boring, and
Yeah.
it's not fun, it's not sexy. People are going to say like, what are you doing? Go and enjoy your money. But you keep on doing this until you get to a point where, okay, now I don't want to reinvest anymore. Now I want to get ready for exit.
Yeah.
And then, because then when a buyer comes to buy your business, they want to see that you're diversified, that your risk is not situated in only one product. Because if that one product fails or flops, then the entire business goes away. So they want to see a diversified portfolio of products. They want to see diversified traffic sources. Boom, you sell it,
Yeah.
you make your money, and
Everybody's happy.
you do what I did.
Yeah.
You celebrate for a day or two, and then you start again.
Okay. So like, how many businesses do you have? How many e-commerce?
Yeah, I've sold 2
Right.
brands. I've sold 2 brands.
Amazing.
One in 23 and one in 2019, and I'm in the process of selling another one now, which I'll probably sell by Q3, Q4. So basically, that's
Yeah.
what I do now. I build, scale, and exit within about 3-4 years max.
Why did you start Strategic FBA?
My coaching program.
Yeah.
I started it because after I was coaching informally since 2018.
Okay.
Friends, family. I mentioned I've got 7 people in my family.
Yeah.
Four of us sell on Amazon. They were my first students.
Oh, nice.
And I coached many friends because they would see what I'm doing. They were because they knew me. They knew how I was teaching, and I wasn't teaching.
Yeah.
So I was doing it informally for a while, and I never charged a penny because it was fun and I was giving back. But after I sold my business and I had a bit more bandwidth, I realized, Jamal, how can you have a broader impact and kind of structure and formalize this in such a way that you can help more people and leverage your teaching background. I'm the only kind of coach who actually knows how to teach. Like,
Because you actually...
I taught.
Yeah, you taught.
And, and so I think I'm uniquely positioned in that way. So I started in 2020 and I've just been able to work with so many amazing students. And after you make a bit of money yourself, when you make your first dollar online, it feels great.
Yeah.
When you make your first $10,000 online, amazing.
When you make your first million.
First million, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
And then 5 million, 10 million off. What happens is the feeling gets more and more diminishing. And the dopamine hit, the fulfillment slowly kind of disappears. It just becomes a number on the screen. And that sounds very obtuse to say, but really it just, like, I see it as a number now. Like,
Wow.
Because say if I were to give someone on the street from Dubai, like if I were to grab them right now and give them $1 million, it would change their life.
Of course, drastically.
Okay, and then I give them, say, 5 million. It would change their life even more, right?
Yeah.
And then 10 mil, and then after about 10 million,
It's
like you can't improve your life anymore. Like,
yeah.
what you got to do? Live on the moon? Like
Vacation on the moon.
yeah, no, like there'll come a point. Like, take Elon Musk for example. He's got silly money, right?
Yeah.
Now, to him, do you think he's kind of looking at his bank account every day, thinking, you know what, I want to go and buy that, I want to buy. Like, no. He spends his time solving hard problems.
Yeah.
You know, space, like sending people to the moon and implanting chips in people's heads and Tesla, because that's what fulfills him now.
Yeah.
Because the money is just there. Like,
It's just there. Like,
if he needs it,
he has gone beyond that stage of,
it's only a tool. It's only a tool. It's only a tool now. But for me, I grew up in poverty. I needed money.
Yeah. It was a necessity.
Yeah, but after you make after a point, you're like, what? Like, so what now? Like, buy another watch? Like, what do I do? Like, it's just boring.
Yeah.
Again, sorry to say that, but because I don't want to be insensitive to people who are struggling with money, because I've been there. I know what it's like.
Yeah.
And for someone who's now in a very privileged position to say, it's boring. No, I know what it's like. Like, I've been in situations where I was at the checkout counter in the supermarket and I had to put items back.
Oh my God.
Because I didn't have enough money and I was buying stuff for my son, my newborn. I know what it's like where I went out with my friends and they were all ordering food, and I was worried that they would have to split the money.
Yeah.
And I didn't have, because what I ordered was enough for me. Was enough for me. And if they split the money, some of them order steaks and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, hold on, I can't afford that.
Yeah.
I can't afford that. So I know what it's like. But basically, going back to my point, what gets me going now is helping other people make their first dollar online.
Wow.
That's what it gets me excited now. And if I can get someone to go from $0 to $1 online and they can become financially independent through what I do, I'm happy.
That's amazing. All right. Happy belated birthday. You just celebrated your 37th birthday.
Thank you.
Recently. So what's next for Jamal? Where do you see yourself in your 40s? What do you see yourself achieving?
In my 40s, yeah.
Yeah.
37 sounds old, you know.
It does. I'm 37. I feel old.
Yeah. What, you as well?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
amazing. So I want to have a bigger impact. I want to help.
Okay.
I want to help more people. I want to build the. This is something I've not talked about publicly, but I want to build an e-commerce university of sorts in the.
Oh, that would be cool.
Like some kind of e-commerce incubation hub academy where we become the one-stop shop for all e-commerce needs
Yeah.
for people who want to start off, for brands doing 7-8 figures, for enterprise. I want to kind of become give them the top-notch skills and education that they need. I want to build tools, AI tools that they can use that kind of automates these many of
Processes.
exactly. So that's what I'm working on.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you very much. Finally, when I was doing research and preparation for this interview, I found out you got to meet the Queen, the late Queen Elizabeth.
Oh wow!
Yeah, how was that experience?
You did your research.
Yeah, I did. How was that experience? How did it come about, and how did that impact you?
Yeah, I won this award,
Okay.
and it was good. It was a very surreal experience because I remember being there in Buckingham Palace. Because outside of Buckingham Palace,
Yeah.
you've got all these tourists there, right? And
Yeah, I've taken pictures by the gate, and it just looks so like, oh my God.
yeah, and you've got all the guards outside, and then I had this pass. I showed them the pass, and then they kind of let you walk
in.
through.
Yeah.
And all the tourists are thinking like, who the heck is this guy?
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, and then in the actual thing, like the ceilings are really high. Like the ceilings are almost invisible in Buckingham Palace.
Wow.
I remember going to the toilet just to check it out, like see what, and it was kind of fancy. But anyway, long story short, I was with the group, and then just before the Queen was going around to each of these groups,
Yeah.
and before she came over to our group, one of her aides came, and he gave us a quick lesson
On
the
how to like
etiquette.
curtsy.
Yeah, no, not courtesy, but he said,
Okay.
don't ever show your back to the Queen.
Oh, okay.
Don't extend your hand first. Let her extend hers. And and just basic stuff like that. And then
Wow.
she came. We talked. I invited her to a football game I was playing. I'm joking.
I was like, what?
No,
Okay.
but
But that was very
no,
beautiful.
but just very real. Like she is who she is.
Yeah.
And she's loved. She was loved by everyone. I don't think she ever wronged someone.
Yeah.
And she was just very, just a solid person. And now that I'm thinking about it, like that's the kind of life I want to live, where you look at people who have achieved great things in life. Very few people have done great things over an extended period of time, number one, and without kind of messing people up along the way.
Very true.
I look at people like Martin Luther King Jr. He changed the world.
True.
He was he's a hero to African Americans. However, things came out after his death about he slept with like 40 of his secretaries and things like that. Some crazy stuff. And all these other people, like the guy that invented the light bulb.
Oh, I forgot his name. I
Edison.
can't believe I forgot his name. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in severe debt, and his family were in distress. And these people are doing great things in life.
Yeah.
But they weren't what I might call comprehensively successful.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be the e-commerce guy who does e-commerce, but then neglects his family, or who doesn't pray.
Yeah.
or who has all of these secret vices that no one knows about. Like to me, success isn't all, because success that people see and hear about today is the tangible, superficial success.
True. The
They-
Lamborghinis, the
they sell. He's
fancy
successful.
vacations. Yeah.
He's successful,
yeah.
but there could be someone else who's a loving and caring father and husband, who has a 9-to-5 job, who's barely making ends meet, but his family love him. And like when he's sick, like people come to him. And there are rich people
Yeah.
whose kids can't wait for them to die because they want to inherit the money.
That's true.
And on the outside, he's that rich guy, successful.
But on the inside, it's
Exactly.
so you want to be an all-rounded success.
I think that's what people need to talk about more.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one talks about it.
How has success changed you? What is something you found about success that people don't know?
It's not this thing that happens. It's a process.
Okay.
And even when you think you made it, you think that you haven't made it. And people might look at you and say, wow. But you still see yourself as that broke kid from Somalia
Yeah.
who was trying to make ends meet. And you're like, I'm just getting started. Like, I don't feel like...
Like you've scratched the surface.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a constant struggle. And you have that kind of self-sabotaging belief sometimes
Yeah.
holding you back. Like, Jamal, who the heck are you to talk about these things? Who are you? Like, you're the kid who had that really bad stutter growing up. Now you're talking publicly. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
And then you have to kind of work on yourself. Success and entrepreneurship has taught me that it's more about, it's going to sound really cheesy, but becoming a bigger and better version of yourself each and every day.
Yeah.
That's what success is, because when you kind of grow into someone else, the material success comes as a byproduct.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you
Yeah.
for being on the podcast. I'm very excited that we got to do this. And I know many people watching has learned a couple of things. And I'm going to start my e-commerce business. So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Bye.